Okay, so I found the problem, and I was looking at your image, and here it is loaded into Krita, which is the one you posted to the forum. And the problem that the reason you can't scale this image, or scale the pattern more precisely, is if you look at the little icon here, where my cursor is, that icon is the fill layer icon, and you cannot use the transform tool on a film layer. On a fill layer. The fill layer is infinite. It goes off in all directions, so you can't scale it. The thing you have to do is convert it to a paint layer, and the paint layer icon is this one up here, this little one with a kind of pencil or brush icon. Now, this is the latest version of Krita, and the bad news is it's a bug, because what you're supposed to do, which I'll show you, no longer works. So let's show you how this works. So here is a layer. I'm going to come down here and use the normal method I would, which is do a fill layer. And I'm just going to leave it with a default pattern. So I'm not going to do anything other than this. And yours, yeah, let's call it cloth pattern like yours. Cloth pattern. There we go, just for good measure. Okay, there we go. So now we have our pattern layer. But, as you can see, the icon's different. It's a fill layer. And you cannot use the transform tool on the film layer. Nothing will happen. And you know this because if you just move it and you hit return to fix it, the fill layer hasn't changed at all. So I'm just going to click and move that back to where it was so we can use it again. So what to do? Well, what you're supposed to do as per my video, and this works in Krita 2.911, is you right click on the layer and you come down and you convert it. And you convert it to a paint layer. And the whole layer will convert to a paint layer which can be transformed. But guess what? If I click on to paint layer, absolutely nothing happens. So I'm pretty convinced that's what's known as a bug in the trade. So that's a bit of a letdown, isn't it? So what to do? Well, how can we actually have a cloth layer that we can, or a pattern layer, should I say, that we can work with? Well, there is a workaround. If I hide this layer, I'm actually going to come down here and make a new paint layer. Now, you can get a new paint layer by default just by clicking the plus icon. You don't have to select it off the menu. It automatically defaults to a paint layer. And if I click on it, you'll see I've now got an empty paint layer. There's absolutely nothing in it. I can now put a pattern into this layer now that it's a paint layer, and I have to do that with the menu up here. So under Edit, right down here, there is a Fill with Pattern, and you can bring that up, and it'll actually fill it with the currently selected pattern, so you can see there. Now, if you don't like this pattern, because you didn't get that dialog where you can select it, well, it's all controlled up here. This is the one that was actually just pasted. So if you don't want that pattern, you have to choose a different one. So if I choose this one, for example, and I now go fill with pattern, I get that pattern instead. It's a different way of working, but the real trick is, because this is a paint layer, I can come and use my transform tool. And now, my layer, when I hit return, transforms and is fixed. So that's what you have to do. So you just make a fill layer, you come up to the edit menu. Well, in fact, what you can do is you just choose a pattern first. So just find the pattern you want in the list, and then go to the edit menu and go fill with pattern, and there you go. You've now got your pattern in that layer, and you can transform it any way you like. So do all the usual sort of stuff, which you can with, and then hit return or enter to fix it. So there you go, that's the fix. But you're right, that's a bug, and obviously I can't do anything about that. I'll have to post an issue with on the Krita forums and see if they're aware of it or need to fix it. Thank you for listening. Hope that helps.